G'day guys, welcome back to the Boundary Riders YouTube channel, and today, since we are getting towards the end of 2023, I thought it would be a great idea to take a look at the top 10 most memorable games of the 2023 season. Now of course we had some massive games throughout 2023, and we'll be starting at number 10, which was a game that won't be remembered for any of the good reasons, but it was between the Swans and the West Coast Eagles. Now this was touted as almost a danger game to the Sydney Swans, as West Coast were being smashed in a couple of games previously and the Swans weren't in the best of form. However, that never came to light as the Sydney Swans absolutely smashed the Eagles and were up by 100 points halfway through the third quarter when an Errol Goulden goal from 50 sent the Swans in front 125-25. And with under 3 minutes to go in this game, the Swans actually got over 200 points thanks to a Hayden McLean free kick just outside the goal square, which sent the game to 170 points the difference. But with Justin McInerney holding the football, as the siren went at the SCG, the Swans claimed a massive 171 point win. Next up at number 9, we have dream time at the G between the Bombers and the Tigers. At the G games, they always start with a great celebration for Indigenous culture, but once the game began, it kind of felt a little bit different than others, as this game started off very entertaining early, with a couple of quick goals to each side, and it being quite close throughout the first 3 quarters. But at the start of the last, the Tigers were up by 3 straight goals, until Sam Durham kicked the first goal of the last quarter. After that, the Bombers started to fire, as another quick clearance from Zach Merritt over to Jake Stringer saw another goal piled on by the Bombers, and within a minute, the Bombers were back to within 1 straight kick. And with a minute to go, Dyson Heppel sent it forward. Draper couldn't take the mark, but it was Jake Stringer who set up a kick at the top of the goal square, and none other than a young Sam Durham took the mark, which set up for a grandstand finish for the Bombers. And as a young leader of the club, Sam Durham went back, nailed the goal, and the Bombers went on to a 1-point win against the Tigers, and will go down as one of the greatest dream time at the G games. But at number 8, we get to an interesting game between the Lions and the Demons. Now this game is actually memorable for not the game itself, but rather what happened during the game. So if you actually cast your minds back to earlier in 2023, they were playing at the Gabba, and the Lions actually had a considerable lead midway through the third quarter. But then, a surprising turn of events, the lights went out at the Gabba, and the players had to be taken off the ground for over an hour. Now when the game commenced, the Melbourne Demons came with some sort of spark and nearly overran the Lions. However, the Lions did hold on to win a very memorable game for not the game itself. But now we get to number 7, and this is a game with a kick after the siren to win it for the Sydney Swans. However, it was Port Adelaide who held on with a very strange incident at the end of the game. So the Swans started this game in really hot form with their first 4 goals. However, it was Port Adelaide between the first and second quarters who were able to kick 5 in a row and hit the lead. But throughout the second and third quarters, the game almost went goal for goal until the last few minutes of the game where Port Adelaide had the lead, and then Charlie Dixon missed a kick to give back to Nick Blakey, which gave away 50 metres, and then he went back, converted the goal, which sent the Swans back in front. However, a quick clearance from Port Adelaide with 2 minutes to go saw Jeremy Finlayson line up for a snapshot kick about 20 out with a slightish angle, which he converted, which saw Port Adelaide take the lead 66-64. But with 30 seconds to go, the Swans had the footy through Dane Rampy, who sent the ball into the middle of the ground to Heaney. From 45 metres out, it was Ollie Florent who had a chance to kick the winning goal for the Swans. So as Ollie Florent went back to have a shot for goal to win the game for Sydney, the ball sailed towards the face of goal, and it all but certain looked like it was home. However, to the alert Port defenders, they were able to spoil this ball and quickly silence the Swans fans and players from their celebrations, which saw Port Adelaide get an unlikely win at the SCG and record a very memorable win in 2023. But now let's move to number 6, where a lot of Crows fans will be remembering this game for a very long time, as it did cost them a final spot, where the Swans came up against the Crows in round 23, which will be remembered by most AFL fans for a huge mistake from an umpire. Now, to the credit of the Swans, they did lead this game for most of the first 3 quarters, and at 3-quarter time were up by 32 points. But it was the Crows who stormed home and kicked 5 goals in the last quarter for what looked like was going to be a massive comeback and give the Crows a sneaky finals chance. But of course, we get to the moment where Ben Keays had the ball in the forward pocket, snapped towards goal, And he went up, as well as 50,000 Crows fans at Adelaide Oval who thought they had stolen the win. But there was one person in the ground who didn't think so, and that was the one person who needed to be convinced the most, which was the goal umpire, who believed that the ball hit the goalpost. However, as we all know now, that was not the case, and the Crows were arguably robbed of a finals berth and a win against Sydney. And this game will be remembered for all the wrong reasons and a crucial mistake from an umpire. But now we get into our top 5. And we get to one of the best home and away games of the season, which was between Carlton and Melbourne. Now, Carlton in 2022 were knocked out of a finals berth against Melbourne. However, there was a turn of the tables where Carlton were able to get over the top of Melbourne. Now, this was a close affair and quite a low-scoring game, but with Carlton having a 3-goal lead, Melbourne did come back very hard, and it looked like there was going to be deja vu. But with the late score review against the Christian Petrarca goal going the way of Carlton to be decided as a touch behind, the Blues were able to hold on, and the celebrations began as Carlton were just about on the brink of a finals berth for the first time in 10 years. And now at number 4, we have what I believe to be the best home and away game of 2023, which was between Port Adelaide and Collingwood. Now at the time, Port and Collingwood were the two best teams in the comp, and this matchup was set up to be the best game of 2023, and I believe it stood up to the hype. Now at times during this game, Port Adelaide looked to be able to run away with it, but it was Collingwood who were able to just hang on, and in the last quarter, with Collingwood being 3 goals down, Collingwood converted 3 quick goals to bring the game right back at level pegging. And as many Collingwood fans would remember, it was Jamie Elliott caught up in the pocket and with ice in his veins was able to convert an absolute massive goal from the pocket to give Collingwood the lead and saw them hang on for a massive victory at Adelaide Oval. Now we can break into the top 3, and the last 3 will actually be 3 finals. So we'll start was the semi-final between Melbourne and Carlton. So with Melbourne coming off a tough loss against Collingwood in the qualifying final, and Carlton coming off a big win against Sydney, these two were primed for a big semi-final clash. Now Melbourne had a lot on the line, as if they did lose this they would be out in straight sets for the second straight year. Now this game was a very low scoring affair, and was a very tight contest all the way until the final quarter. Now with a minute to go, Carlton was streaming through the middle of the ground, and out at half forward was Sam Doherty, who drove a ball long into the goal square, where Carlton had a 2-on-1. Blake Acres luckily slammed the goal through, as it almost hit the left goal post, but a goal was all they needed to get a 1-point lead. And with 20 seconds to go, it was Carlton's defensive pressure that held strong, and a De kick from 50, dribbled towards about 20 metres out, McGovern socketed through a behind, and to the Carlton fans watching around the country, they knew they had reached a preliminary final. But now we get to our second most memorable game of 2023, which was the preliminary final between GWS and Collingwood. Now Collingwood went into this game as heavy favourites, having a week off after winning the qualifying final against Melbourne, but there was still a hope around the entire country that maybe the Giants could beat the heavyweights of Collingwood. Now Collingwood started this game like a house on fire, and it almost felt like we were wondering about how much this game would blow out. However, the fight of the Giants gave Australia's team hope that we could see the Giants make their second ever grand final. And with 7 minutes to go, the Giants had the ball on the outer wing. They brought it into the middle of the ground through Lockie Ash, who drilled a short ball to Jesse Hogan. And with the weight of a country on his shoulders, Jesse Hogan went back and nailed the goal to get the Giants within 1 point. But with both teams going end-to-end throughout the most of the second half of the last quarter, neither side could break away, and despite the gallant effort of the Giants, it was the Pies who held on in one of the best games we've seen in recent history to claim their spot in the 2023 Grand Final. And finally, at number 1, the most memorable game of the 2023 season, and I don't think we could see too many arguments on this, which is the 2023 Grand Final between Collingwood and Brisbane. Now finally, we actually had a Grand Final in recent times that lived up to the hype. The two best teams in the comp fighting it out in the best game of the season. Now, this Grand Final started like a house on fire, with Nick Dacos getting a free kick for a high one, 25 metres out straight in front, and the superstar converted with a big roar running around the MCG. But late in the first quarter, it was the Lions who kicked 3 straight goals to take a slight lead, but at quarter time, Collingwood went in front. Now in a high-scoring first half, Collingwood did take a 6-point lead, 63-57, with a Jack Crisp goal on the siren. And throughout most of the third quarter into the fourth, it ebbed and flowed, and it was a goal-for-goal contest, which set up for a blistering final quarter. And with 5.5 minutes to go, it was Charlie Cameron who kicked the goal for the Lions, and I'm sure there were many Collingwood fans thinking, oh no, this is happening again. But Jordan De Goey got the quick reply, which got Collingwood back in front, and with 5 minutes to go, still side bottom, got a 50-metre penalty on the wing. He went back, kicked a massive goal, and gave Collingwood a 10-point lead. And at this stage, it looked like the biggest club in Australia was about to be the best. But the Lions would not lie down. A Joe Danaher goal with 2 minutes to go gave the Lions every chance to claim the 2023 Premiership. Now with just over a minute to go, advantage was called against Zach Bailey for the Lions, which may have given him the opportunity to get a goal and get in front. But at the end of the day, that was not given. The Pies were able to get it to the wing and were able to hold on for one of the best grand final victories we have seen in recent times. But guys, that is the top 10 most memorable games of 2023. So make sure to let me know down below in the comments section if you believe I've missed out on any games. And also make sure to subscribe, as we're going to be continuing the massive AFL content working into the 2024 season and beyond. But thanks for watching today, guys. Make sure to leave a like as well. That's all from me, so we'll catch you all in the next.